Good morning, welcome to the King of Cardboard channel. This is the channel where we casually talk about cardboard packaging topics. In today's episode, I'll answer a question that you ask me very often, namely, is it possible to produce flap boxes using a die cutting tool? If you want to know the answer to this question, keep watching. Before we start, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, and if you have any questions for me, you can write them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer. So, let's get started. I assume, regarding this question, that you're asking about a very cheap way to make a flap box using a die, and the cheapest option will definitely be a flat die. Because if you watch my channel and have seen previous episodes, you definitely know that we have flat dies and rotary dies. Rotary dies are mounted on rotary die cutting machines. They're fast, but they're expensive. Flat dies are mounted, for example, on this type of machine that you see now, the so-called flatbed die cutter, and they're much, much cheaper. And now, if we have a small flatbed die cutter like the one in this video, we can make our flap box, for example, from 2 sheets. So we make 2 identical sheets, glue or staple them in 2 places, and our packaging is ready. So, to answer the question, yes, it is possible to make a flap box even on a small die cutting machine, but I see a few problems here. First of all, as you may have noticed in this video, the speed of making these packages isn't exactly lightning fast, especially if, for example, we're making the packaging from 2 parts, which means we have to run the die cutter twice to get our packaging. Additionally, you end up having to glue or staple twice, which slows down our production process even more. And yes, this kind of production will still be faster, for example, than using a plotter. So, cutting this kind of packaging on a plotter is slower than on a die cutter like this, but for mass production, meaning if we wanted to make, for example, 1,000 pieces per hour, well, with this kind of die cutter, we just don't have the option to produce the quantity. Here, it's really more for small quantities. If you need something quickly, just a few pieces, then this method is definitely suitable. Of course, there are also companies that start out this way, because you absolutely can begin by working like this. But first of all, it's tiring work, especially if you're doing it alone on such a machine, because you have to go back and forth, one way and then the other. And the second significant downside of making these flap boxes in this particular way is that, for example, if we are meticulously crafting flap boxes with very specific and precise dimensions because that is exactly what the esteemed client has explicitly requested, and then after a mere week, or perhaps a month, or even a substantial half a year, the client unexpectedly changes their mind and now urgently needs a slightly bigger box, maybe because the actual product they are carefully packing is now a bit larger in size, or they are wrapping it in protective bubble wrap or a durable stretch film and consequently require more internal space. Then automatically, the cutting die we had, which we spent, say, 800, 1,000, or even 2,000 zlotys on, depending on its size, becomes useless to us, and we have to make a brand new die from scratch. Another downside of making packaging on a die cutter like this is that if you already run a company that produces cardboard packaging, you definitely want to have more than just one client. It's just the natural order of things. You keep getting more and more clients, and each client has their own packaging dimensions. And it's not like these are, let's say, standard, repeatable packages like 300 by 200 by 100. Some clients, for example, have completely custom dimensions, like 324 by 282 by 105, for instance. The internal dimension or even the external dimension. So there are a lot of combinations here, which means that if we wanted to make these die cuts for a larger number of clients, we would automatically have more die cuts for each specific package size. So, for example, if we have 10 clients and each of them has between 5 and 15 different sizes, then we'll end up with a lot of die cuts, and we'll have quite a bit invested just in the die cuts themselves. So, to sum up, yes, it is possible to produce cardboard packaging using die cuts, but that's more for personal use for just a few pieces of packaging. Just like here in the video, cardboard packaging is being made from scraps in a very slow way. However, if you want to run a business and produce cardboard packaging for profit, I wouldn't really recommend making packaging this way. Thanks for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment with any questions if there's something else you're curious about. Thanks. See you for now.